Good morning, everyone, and happy Monday. This is Tony Butler with Insurance Agency Marketing Services. I'm one of the life sales directors here and want to thank you for joining our webinar this morning. Today we have John Entingh, who is one of our top producing agents here to talk about National Guardian Life and their product. So want to go ahead and get started because John's feeling a little under the weather, so we want to make sure that we make it through here without any issues. So with that, want to first talk about our new producers builders. If you are a new agent here with Insurance Agency Marketing Services, we do provide incentives for you based on the production level. That you contribute. When I say production level, I'm speaking in terms of paid premium. So as you see here, we have 5 different levels, and based on the amount of production that is submitted, there are some perks, if you will, that you can get from mailing pieces to marketing dollar reimbursements to trips and assistance as far as billboard ad seminar presentations and distribution. So as you see, we have the 100,000, 250,000, 500, 750, and 1 million. If you have any specific questions in regards to our new producers builders, please give us a call. Be more than happy to discuss this with you in greater detail. Also, we have our IAMS Business Builders, and this is a referral program that we have for agents. So any agents that you do refer to IAMS and they get appointed with any of the carriers that we work with, we do provide you with a $50 one-time referral bonus. We also provide you with additional bonuses based on the business that they submitted. Whether it be life target, index annuities, single premium life, or MIGAs. So if you have any questions in regards to our IAMS business builders, again, please don't hesitate to give us a call. We also offer you back office support here at Insurance Agency Marketing Services. We like to tell you that we want you to work smarter, not harder. What that means is we do offer paperless contracting. We do offer case design assistance. There are forms at your fingertips, which is available on our website. We do life and annuity quotes for you as well. Now, in the current pandemic environment that we're in, a lot of agents are not meeting clients face to face. So we have a couple of platforms that allows you to do electronic applications. One of those platforms is our Firelight platform. With Firelight, as you see to the left here are the carriers that are available. The majority of those are annuity carriers, but we do have some life carriers that's available on our Firelight platform. To the right here, you'll see that there are some carriers that we'll be adding soon. If you haven't registered for Firelight, please give us a call. Be more than happy to walk you through that process to get you registered and get you up and running. We also have a creative marketing solutions department, and that department is designed to help you, whether it be turnkey, agency, or digital solutions. What that means is they can assist you with professionally written handouts, logo design, business cards. If you're looking to get into the digital marketing space, they can help you with digital marketing strategies, social media consulting, and even personal website assistance. So if you have any questions in regards to that, please reach out to Jacob and his team. They'd be more than happy to provide you with more information on what they can offer. We also have a 24/7 website. The website is www.imzinc.com. Our website also allows second platform as far as e-applications go. iGo e-app solution is available on our website. We also have sales tools available on the website. If you're a life agent, you can do term quotes as well as universal life quotes. Forms are available online along with additional annuity and long-term care information. If you're not familiar with our website, like for us to kind of walk you through on how to navigate through the website, give us a call, take some time to go through that with you. We also provide a retirement analyzer for our agents, and that retirement analyzer is there for you to answer questions from your client, such as when can I retire safely without running out of money? How would it affect my family if I enter a nursing facility? What are the possible solutions if my situation changes? We do offer the analyzer on a 30-day free trial basis. Um, After that, there is a cost associated with using the analyzer. Now, depending on production, we can offer the retirement analyzer free to qualifying agents. So if you have any questions or would like some additional information on our retirement analyzer, please do not hesitate to give us a ring. We also have an IAMS wealth management team. That wealth management team is there for you and your higher net worth clients. We've seen a lot of agents where it has increased their revenue, improved client retention, strengthened relationships with their clients. So if this interests you, please reach out to Charles Jr. and his team. They can provide you with more information on that. We also, I'm sure a lot of you are aware that we do a Life and Annuity Academy. This is a 2-day training that includes sales ideas and strategies that we share from top producers. We do large life case marketing information, best income writers, just more or less having conversations with our agents in regards to sales ideas and strategies to help grow your business. As I'm sure you're aware, with COVID, we haven't had any of those for 2020, and it doesn't look like we're going to have any this year. We're still having conversations about 2021. But if you have any questions in regards to our Life and Annuity Academy, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We'd be happy to get you more information on that. And with that, John, are you there?
Good morning, I am.
Okay. Now you sound better. I'm going to
Well,
switch
I'm
this over
working
to
on
you.
it. Hot coffee and water and cough drops. I think I'm getting there.
All right. Okay, I'm going to make you the presenter.
Okay. Gotcha.
All right, there you go.
All right, thanks. Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you for taking your time out of your business to join me today. A little under the weather from last week, but definitely feeling better than I did. I was out all last week out of the office, and I'll try to get through this and pretty quickly today, but I will cover a lot of key topics that'll help you. I'd like to start out by just talking a little bit about myself, just to let you know I'm not a home office employee. I don't work for NGL. I actually am in the field. I'm in Columbus, Ohio. I have a couple different offices here that we run a financial practice service. So what I'm sharing with you is actually stuff that we do on a daily basis. And that, to me, anytime you can hear it from someone who's doing it versus someone who's sitting in an office just telling you about it, I think it has a lot more value. So that being said, some of the things that we're going to discuss today, maybe if I can get the screen to move here, give me just a second. Well, I'm having some technical difficulty here. There we go. So today we're going to talk about the opportunity that exists in the marketplace. We'll talk about the trust that NGL offers at no cost for your client. Talk about the product we use to fund the trust. I'll give you some good ideas and tools that you can use immediately. And then we'll talk about NGL as a company and what they've meant to my practice. The opportunity is really something I didn't even know about 14 years ago. I had a mentor of mine in the business that came to me and said, "Hey, you really need to learn about this NGL product." And I said, "Well, what's the value proposition?" And he said, "Well, it'll help your clients protect some of their money from a long-term care stay, but also it'll give you the ability to add another income leg onto your income stool and be able to produce enough revenue to cover your office expenses for you every year." And that kind of caught my attention. So just looking back, it's been 14 years ago, and 14 years ago, I did not know anything about this product. But since then, we've produced millions of dollars for them. And it's just a great opportunity if you're running a financial practice, as we all know we are if we're on this call. And one of the things I always like to point out is that, we're in the planning business and we're helping clients plan for all these moments in their life. And it's really pretty simple. You can't just let them happen. You have to look at the options, you have to have a plan, and then you have to find out where are we going to get the money to be able to implement the plan. And your final expenses and funeral expenses, they're not any different. Someone's going to need to determine the services and pay the bill, and then the question will become who and when. So either it'll be the deceased prior to their death, they'll get their affairs in order, they'll make it very easy transition for their family moving forward, or it'll be left to the survivors afterwards. And that's what happened to me back in January of 2011. On the 21st, I lost my dad. He passed away. And just a little backstory on me, I'm the youngest of five kids. When anything goes on, I've always been the entrepreneur of the family, so usually my phone rings, and this day wasn't any different. But my mom and dad divorced when I was 2 years old, so I wasn't super close with my father. We never had these type of discussions, and I found myself sitting in a funeral director's office, and he was asking me questions like, where's your dad's life insurance policy? What's his mother's maiden name? What was his highest rank in the military? Who are the pallbearers going to be? And I was floored by this because I didn't have any of this information from my dad. But what I quickly realized was all of these clients that I had been helping out over the years, I had actually taken this burden off of their children's shoulders. And so that really made me feel good, even though I was put right into a spot with my dad that I was preaching to people that you shouldn't be in. So NGL offers a couple different choices to alleviate that problem. They have the pre-need side, which is you go into a funeral home, plan and pay your funeral expenses up front, or they have the final expense side where we're going to show people how to set aside those funds for the anticipated expenses, and that's where you'll come involved. One of the questions we always ask our clients is if they really know how much a funeral costs. And typically we'll hear numbers everywhere from $5,000 to 20,000. And we'll share this information with them. The typical cost of a traditional funeral service and burial is almost $15,000. So a lot of times when you share that with them, their wheels start turning, and we'll ask them, if something happened to you yesterday, how would you be paying this $15,000 today? And then we got to listen carefully, because that question is going to give us some responses that later on we're going to be able to use. And we'll say to them, say they said to us, well, we've got $15,000 in a CD at the bank and our daughter knows that's what it's there for. Then we will say to them, well, if there was a better way to do it, is that something you'd be interested in learning about? And of course, anytime somebody can better themselves, typically they're going to want to learn about it. But we know there's a big opportunity out there because they did a national survey, and 72% thought it was a good idea to pre-plan, but 64% of those people had not taken any steps to do so. And we know one thing for sure, that your clients aren't any different than the ones that we're dealing with. And we believe that the people don't take action, because I'll give you, today here in Columbus, Ohio is absolutely beautiful. It's about 72 degrees this morning. The sun's out. I doubt a husband and wife is going to wake up in the morning and look at each other and go, hey, let's go down to the funeral home and pick out our caskets today. Because the human mind can only think about its demise for about 11 seconds, and then it goes out of your mind. So our job is to walk them down that road, and we know the market is huge. We're all in this for the long term, I would assume, if you're on this call. And if we look at the numbers, they're astonishing, the amount of people by 2025 that they're going to be out there to serve with what we do. And so if we can understand it, we can implement it and talk intelligently about it, there's a lot of sales out there that are being left on the table by the average advisor. But you have to consider this as well. 69% of all Americans older than 65 are going to need nursing care. But we also understand that 93% of America has done nothing to protect their money from a long-term care stay. And when we look at that average cost of a nursing home stay, it can get quite expensive. And this is kind of what we'll talk to our clients about. We'll ask them, do you have any long-term care insurance? And if they tell us no, then we'll say, well, ask them why. And if it's just they're not going to purchase any, maybe they feel it's too expensive, they've got health issues, whatever that may be, then we will say to them, do you realize that if you get sick and go into care, that you are going to go into what they call spend down, which is mean you're going to spend all of your money. And then once you've gotten through your assets, you'll qualify for Medicaid, and Medicaid will start paying your bills. And that conversation will open up their mind to the thought that, wow, maybe there's other things I can be doing with some of my money to protect my money from going to the nursing home. So how that all fits together is we're going to use that NGL insurance product, and we're going to use their funeral trust. So we're going to give them the life insurance and the advantages of a funeral trust. We're going to show them how to permanently set that money aside for the future for their final expenses. And then by using the trust to hold the funds, we're effectively spending that money down. And this could prevent them from being counted as excess monies during that Medicaid consideration. So the trusts themselves give protection from creditors. The money that comes out of the trust at death is income tax free. The funds are available immediately for final expenses. The trusts are free. This is very important. Everyone's going to qualify for a trust assignment. The death proceeds will be used for the funeral expenses and avoid probate, and the funds are totally portable. I want to touch on that a minute. If you live in Columbus, Ohio, and you go to one of our local funeral homes and prepay your funeral, there are certain costs that you can lock in, but there are also ones that you can't. With the funds that you put into NGL, those funds can be taken anywhere. If you die and you have prepaid your funeral here in Columbus and you've moved to Florida to live with your kids and grandkids, that's not going to do you a lot of good. So it's better to have funds that are portable that'll get the same job done. And that's exactly what the NGL program can do for your client. Whoops, this is touchy, so bear with me. There we go. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to help people protect their money. And if you look at this screen here, I'm not going to read through it, but you certainly can. All the top headers that we're looking for a yes in, we're getting that with the irrevocable funeral trust. We're not getting it with those traditional savings plans, CDs, savings, annuities, and life insurance. So how does the trust work? Well, what ends up happening is we will have the conversation with our client. We'll agree that they have the funds. We'll show them, where to pull the funds from, and we'll put that money into a life insurance policy. Now, this isn't a traditional single premium life. In other words, if I gave them 15,000 into that, I might start with 15,500 of death benefit. But what's going to happen is 45 days after issue of the contract, they're going to assign that policy to the irrevocable funeral trust. That money now is going to get a fixed interest rate, and it's going to grow, and it's going to stay in there till death. And I'm going to make this clear to everybody, and you should certainly make it clear to your clients. It is irrevocable. When you put your money in there, it is not coming out until you die. Don't call me to ask me to do a policy loan. Don't call me to cash it in because times are tough. It is irrevocable, and it is set aside to take care of your final expenses. You will earn interest on it, and when it pays out, it'll pay out tax free. With the plan, it will pay within 48 hours to the funeral provider. So, we've been doing this a long time. We just had a client die last month. The son called me. I asked him what funeral home he was using. He told me. I called that funeral home. I got the fax number. I called NGL. I gave them the policy number and the fax number of the funeral home, and I was out of it. They deal directly with the funeral home and get the funds to the funeral home within 48 hours. If there are any excess funds, so say you had 16,000 and the funeral was only 15, that extra thousand must be paid back to the estate of the insured because we had gotten it out of the estate of the insured to be spent at the nursing home. So now it has to be paid to the estate. So there's two different types of trust with NGL. There's the funeral expense trust. I'll kind of walk you through this. You can put up to $15,000. Every city and state is going to have a limit, mostly states, but if you get into a Pennsylvania, they have county requirements of how much you can put in it. But I'm going to be talking about Ohio while I'm having this conversation with you, but I'll show you a board with all the states on it so that you can understand what your state looks like. It does give you the ability to exclude the asset in order to qualify for Medicaid when applying immediately. I struck up a friendship with a local attorney here in town. He's an elder law attorney. So he does a lot of the Medicaid planning to get people qualified for a nursing home. And he'll call me and say, hey, I've got a couple clients down here. I want to do 15,000 on each of them and get it off the balance sheet because it's immediate. And then we're going to apply for Medicaid. So once we do that, we understand that eventually that trust will pay the funeral cost. And again, any excess of this is going to go to the estate of the insured. Now, NGL also has an estate planning trust. You can put up to 100,000 per person into this trust. It gives you the ability to exclude the asset in order to qualify for Medicaid after a 5-year look back. So if you put the money in today, 5 years from now, that money will be 100% protected from a nursing home. And if you didn't own a funeral expense trust, you could actually pay the funeral home out of the estate planning trust, and then any excess funds will go to the beneficiary of the insured. So when I speak at the IAMS agent academies that Tony was talking to you a little bit ago, I'll have agents when I do my presentation, they'll ask me, well, John, which trust do I use? Well, if you're going to use the funeral expense trust, it's really set up for crisis planning. Again, like I told you with the attorney, we needed to get money out of their estate immediately. We can do that. Maybe Medicaid's possible in the next 5 years. So maybe you have somebody who is paying their own way in a nursing home or paying for a spouse, but they know they're going to run out of money, within 5 years. Well, that's great. Let's get protected what we can. Or I do a lot of seminars and just do general, new client intake when they come in to see us. And a lot of clients at the end, I'll ask them, hey, have you prepaid your funeral? If they tell me no, I'll explain to them how this can help them. And a lot of them just want that assurance of knowing that the money's protected now, it's put away for their final expenses, and they don't have to deal with that again. But then you'll have people who Medicaid's a non-issue. I love to tell this story about a couple of teachers that I did this for. They're through their 5-year look-back period now, so they had each put 100,000 in. That money can never be touched by the nursing home. But when I met with them, they had already prepaid their funerals, and I said, "Okay, do you have any money that you would like to know is protected from a nursing home in the event that you would ever go in?" And they said, well, yeah, we would love to do that. And I explained the program to them. And now that allows them to easily transfer that limited amount of wealth to the children. And that's exactly what we did. And that's the real opportunity. If you can write some of the estate planning trust at 100,000 a pop, it can turn into a really good month and year for you. So we're going to talk a little bit here about the product itself that's offered through NGL, and it is called the Asset Guard. So for today, when I talk about this product, I'm going to talk about a single premium. Now, they do have options where you can set up a payment over time, but in our practice, we only do single premium. We don't do anything other than that. So that's what I'm going to concentrate on today with you. And before I do that, let me show you what your individual state limits might look like, since I see we have a lot of people on here from all over the place. So here's what it looks like. If you were to look at Ohio, you can see here we can do 15,000 in the funeral trust, and we can do 100,000 in the estate planning trust. There's only Massachusetts that doesn't allow either one of them. But let's say, as an example, that you live in Michigan and you're talking to a client and you say, "Hey, have you prepaid your funeral?" And they say, "No, we haven't done that." Well, you have the opportunity to say to them, "Well, Michigan doesn't allow for the funeral trust to immediately exclude your asset, but we can put 15,000 into the estate planning trust to cover your funeral expenses. The difference will be you do have to get through the 5-year look back. But we all know how quick 5 years goes. We just had a presidential election. That means 4 years has been up, and it seems like yesterday. So again, if I'm being creative and maybe I live in Nebraska where IAMS is located and I can only put 4916 into the funeral trust, I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to recommend that they put another 10 into the estate planning trust so that they have enough for their final expenses, and we start that clock ticking on that other 10,000 that we put in the estate planning trust. So the real takeaway, the funeral trust is immediately excluded from the estate. The estate planning trust, we have a 5-year look back on it. Now, here's everything that's covered through the irrevocable funeral trust when someone passes away. So if you look through that list, you're going to see there down to the transportation equipment and the driver, to even the transfer of the deceased if they would pass away somewhere and have to be brought home. All of that stuff, that money can be used to pay for. So I said I would just talk about how we do here at Entingh Financial. We do single pay. So under the single pay, we can do a minimum face amount of $500. We can do a maximum face amount up to $100,000. There's one health question on the application. Everybody is going to qualify for it, and you can write it from ages 0 to 99. There's one health question. If your client answers no, we're going to get them the standard issue. If they answer yes, we're going to get them the guaranteed issue. All single pay, standard issue, one pay, and multi-pay have an immediately full death benefit payout, and they will get growth in there that increases daily with simple growth. And it couldn't be easier to do. It's literally 2 pieces of paper and your state replacement form if it's required, and you're done. And the reason I like to talk about this is I wrote my very first annuity back in 1993. It was on a guy who owned a dry cleaner in a little town called Marion, Ohio. And he wrote me a check for $25,000. His application was 3 pages, and the last page was his receipt. Now, you all know today in this business, we're inundated with paperwork. Sometimes it can, you can get it done with the client, and that could take an hour, and you get back to your office, you got another half hour going back through everything. This is literally a 15-minute process to get the application done with the client. So if you hate paperwork, you'll love this product. So I'll walk you through the application. Here's the front page of the application. It's very simple. If you guys want to take, and ladies and gentlemen want to take a look at the statement of health down here, that's what they're looking for. So if they answer no to all that, they're going to be standard issue. If they answer yes to any one of those questions, then they're going to have a guaranteed issue, but you're going to get it issued. At the bottom, they're going to sign, you're going to sign. If you pick up cash with application, there's the acknowledgement of payment you can leave with them. This is the funeral expense trust form. So if I'm going to do it, this is the disclosure. I will caution you on this. Make sure if you're doing the funeral expense trust or you're doing the estate planning trust or you're doing a combination of both, make sure that you have the right forms to have the client sign. So on the bottom of that form, if you remember a while ago, I said once the money goes into the trust, or I mean into the life policy, 45 days later, it goes into the trust. Well, if the attorney calls me and says, "Hey, John, we're trying to get these people qualified December 1 for Medicaid," I can actually take the applications on the client and they can ask for the money to be put in immediately at issue into the trust and waive the 45-day period. And that can come in real handy when you're doing planning with a client, trying to protect their money from a nursing home. So NGL does have a voice signature option. I'll just let you read the little bullet points there as we go. It's pretty simple. We're going to call them. You're going to put your NGL agent number. You're going to enter the client's phone number. After a brief recorded message to sign, your client will say, "I agree," followed by their name. You write down the confirmation number on the top of the application. Place your code on the signature line and date the form. Enter the confirmation number on the forms that require an insured signature. And then get the stuff faxed into NGL and they'll get right to work on it for you. So some helpful hints, they can withdraw the payment the day of the application. You want to let your client know that. If they cancel, you need to contact NGL immediately. The policies under this format are mailed out in about 10 days after issue. Make sure you have your replacement paperwork. I know in Ohio, even if we're not replacing anything, we're still required to have the client sign off on it. And they have some great training videos on the NGL website once you get licensed. So let's talk a little bit about presenting it to clients. That's really where the rubber's going to meet the road. And I'll say that back when I wrote that annuity in 1993 at the dry cleaner, a couple things that day. I couldn't believe I wrote it, and I couldn't believe somebody would let me walk out of their business with a $25,000 check. At that time, it was the biggest check I had seen. But now, because I've been doing this so long with NGL, just as I've been doing the annuities and the investment side of the business, I'm good at it. And it's not because I'm the smartest guy in the world, it's through repetition. So a lot of agents at the academy will say, "Hey, is there a lead program?" And the fact of the matter is, we've tried mailers, print, everything just doesn't seem to draw people to this. What we found to be best is current client base, or if you're going to bring on a new client and you're doing a client interview, sometimes we haven't got the client to come on board to do financial stuff with us because they didn't have enough money, but we've done this because they wanted to take care of their final expenses. So if I were telling an agent, what I would say is annual reviews are a great place to start with this. And here's why I say it. If it were me, I would go into the appointment just as I did the other day with a big client of ours, and I would say, "Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, would you agree that all of the advice and information I've provided to you in the past has worked out the way that I said it would?" "Well, yes, John, it has." "Well, great. There's something that we neglected to cover that I want to make sure we talk about and get it taken care of for you today." That's important. That's being an advisor. That's pointing it out and bringing it to the table for them. So that starts that discussion. And then you're going to ask them, "Have you prepaid your funeral?" If they tell you yes, then your next question is, "Do you have any money that you would like to make sure goes to specific beneficiaries and can never be taken by the nursing home?" "Well, yeah." "Okay, then we're going to talk about the estate planning trust. But we're going to stress those benefits of planning ahead." I had a guy at one of the academies, real nice. I'm not going to say who he was. I still talk to him this day. But he said to me, "Well, John, I don't mean to be mean about this, but I would love to have the story about your father." And I said, "Well, you do. Just tell them you have a very good friend in the business that introduced you to this, and tell them the story about my father and why this is so important that the planning's done. Stress to them that it can be used with any funeral home in the country. So we're not going in and prepaying at a funeral home. And then maybe that funeral home goes out of business. It gets bought by another company. The funds inside the funeral home get pilfered. If you where I don't care where you live, if you're on this call today, if you Google funeral director takes advantage of prepaid funds, you're going to find articles where this actually happens, and it's every state. So have that's a good piece. I share that with clients. And then here's something that's real important that can help you get money into this program. Your clients, the majority, do not understand that if they own a life policy and they die, they do not get the cash value and the death benefit. They get whatever is bigger. Here's why that's important. There are a lot of life insurance policies out there that are paid up policies that have 10,000 in cash value and maybe a $12,000 death benefit. If that's me and I'm talking to that client, I'm going to say, Mrs. Jones, we need to get the 10,000 and 1035 exchange it into this policy, because if you get sick and go to a nursing home, they're going to make you spend your life insurance cash value. Then you don't have anything. Let's protect what you have and make sure we have it when we need it the most. So I'm real big on those 1035 exchanges. There's a lot of ULs out there that are blowing up that the people don't understand. And a lot of times they just want to salvage whatever they have. They don't want to pay new premiums for it. So keep that in mind when you're talking. And then again, we get paid to close. And you're going to give that client the peace of mind of knowing that they've planned ahead and that those funds are protected. So where do you find the money? It's money they already have that we will say to a client, hey, you know what, Mrs. Jones, if you really think about it, you're not even buying anything today. We're taking money that's countable for a nursing home stay, and we're moving it from your right pocket, and assume your left pocket, it can't be counted for a nursing home stay. We're just shifting it over there. So in reality, we're not buying anything. We're just putting the asset in a more advantageous position for you moving forward. So CDs, money markets, other insurance, annuities with penalty-free withdrawals. 93% of annuities in this country go to the next generation. They're not spent. So why not start pulling some of that money? Do they have to pay taxes? Yeah. Is now a great time to have a tax conversation where we're at with our tax rates right now? You better believe it is. Yeah, we're going to pay taxes of getting it out, but at least we know what the rates are today. And again, it's money they already have. You just have to motivate them to get it moved into that other side that's not countable. Here's the brochures with NGL. I use this one and this one the most. I love to tell this story. I had a client about 10 minutes from my office. I'd already done annuities with them. I went over and they had a couple big life insurance policies with an insurance company here in Columbus. And I said, hey, do you understand if you die, you don't get the death benefit and the cash value? And they said, no, we never knew that. So I went through my presentation and I said, this is what you need to do. And she looked at me and she said, well, John, you know our process. We don't do anything the day we're shown. We want to sleep on it. And I said to her, that's fine. You know my process. I believe in sleeping on it, but I also believe making the best decision. The right time to do that is when you have all the information clear on your mind and in front of you. So I'm going to call you tomorrow at 1 o'clock, and you're going to give me a decision one way or the other, just like we did with the annuities. And they were fine with that. And I left this funeral expense and estate planning because it was a lot of cash value. We had to split it between the two. And I said, just read this tonight, and then I'll call you at 1 tomorrow. True story, 9 o'clock the next morning, my phone rang. It was them. They said, hey, we want to do this. Let's get the appointment set. And it was a pretty big case. It was about 80,000 in cash value for us. So the tools NGL has, I would highly recommend you use them. And when I say that, this one here is one of my favorite pieces. My mentor always taught me when I'm in a sales process with someone to leave them a task because it keeps them engaged, keeps their mind off of buyer's remorse. So we leave this with the client and we'll say to the client, hey, if you fill this out, I'm going to leave this with you and I expect you to fill it out. And if you do, when I bring your contract back to you, I can put your contract with this planning guide. And if I'd never met you before, I could sit in a funeral director's hall office and take care of your entire funeral for you without ever meeting you. Do you see the value of this for me personally that I would have had with my dad if I could have just walked in and handed them this? So it's a very valuable tool. It's free through NGL, so you certainly want to take advantage of getting that to your client. Now, I say NGL a lot. I have a lot of respect for this company from the standpoint they're the only company that I've done business with. I've been in this business since 1987. I have never had one issue with this company, not getting my policies issued, not getting my claims paid, and certainly not getting my commissions deposited to my account because they have tunnel vision. This is what they do. They are good at it. So again, great company to do business with. And as we all know in this business, the real important thing is just be there when we need you most. And that's when the client dies and we can make that promise come to fruition like we told them we would. So once you're licensed through Insurance Agency Marketing Services, you're going to get some stuff with NGL. This is their website. It has everything on there from calculating premiums to downloadable presentations that you can put onto your iPad, training videos, everything you would need, applications. It's the easiest site. And this reports here, you can literally send an application in. If I sent one in today on Monday and we use 2-day mail, NGL would get it on Wednesday. And I'm going to tell you, my commissions are probably going to be in my account Thursday. Friday at the latest, but normally Thursday. Their submission to commission, just like Insurance Agency Marketing Services touts, is wonderful. So again, great company, great support, and that's what we're looking for when, especially when we're learning something new. So we already know every one of your clients need it and are thinking about it. It's a great income opportunity. No fees for the trust. The trust is portable. You could buy it in Ohio, move to Florida, go to any funeral home. They're going to accept it. We've got a great company backing us. We give that peace of mind to the client. We've done a good job for our client as an advisor. And again, it's easy to do, 2 pieces of paper and your state disclosure, and you're on the move. And if you don't do it, someone else will. I don't know when because I've never ran across anybody in one of my households that's talked about this product with my client. I told you my mentor told me that if I did this right, it could pay my office expenses every year. That's back when I had one office. We have 2 offices now, and this pays for my office expenses on an annual basis for both offices. So again, all we're doing is talking about it to clients. So again, it's very important. I'm going to have you look, just focus on this side up here, and we'll go to a 61 to 65-year-old. If we went in the house and did a review and picked up 2 policies, 15,000 each on the spouses at 13.31%, we just made about 4 grand for out doing our review. And again, that's nice to know because even if they were both guaranteed issue, that's still going to be, what is that? That's a $2,500 day out in the field just with one client doing a review. So again, it's a great thing to do. NGL has great conferences. I've been on them. They treat you like gold. But what helped me with this a lot is when I go to a sales conference, especially early in my career, I was taught to seek out the top producers. So the top 10 to 15 guys, and they're always listed everywhere or they're receiving awards. You know who they are. And I was always taught to go up and talk to them, ask them, what are you doing to get to the level you're at with your production? These guys are willing to share. They're proud of what they do. They'll tell you that. It's called giving back once you've hit a point in your career. So whether it's this or you're at an insurance agency marketing services conference, seek out those top producers. They'd love to talk to you, and you'll get a lot of value out of it. So the biggest challenges, get comfortable with the concept. Remember, we showed you your clients believe in pre-planning. They're just not taking any action. You need to motivate them to that action. Stress those benefits of pre-planning and keep it on the top of your mind. Every client, every day. How hard is it to say to someone, hey, have you prepaid your funeral? If they say no, I need to speak with that to you about that. I think I can really improve your position. If they say yes, do you have any money that you'd like to make sure doesn't go to a nursing home and goes to a beneficiary that you have in mind? And if they say yes to that, then you're talking about the estate planning trust. But if you don't ask, I'm going to promise you, you'll never write NGL. You've got to ask the client. So we're kind of wrapping up here. I'm going to talk to you about this guide for beneficiaries, tell you a little backstory about it, and also let you know that once you're licensed through Insurance Agency Marketing Services, we'll make this guide available to you so that you can brand it to your own company. So what ended up happening for us, I was sitting in my office one day about 7 years ago. My phone rang. It was a client's daughter. She said, "Hey, I wanted to let you know that mom died last week." And I told her I was sorry to hear about that, asked about the services. And I said, "Hey, you've got a lot going on, but a couple weeks from now, we're going to need to sit down and talk to you about your mom's account." And she said, "Oh, John, don't worry about that. I've already talked to the guy at the bank and he's going to take care of all of it for us." Well, that was a $500,000 annuity that I thought that we would eventually get to work with again with the beneficiary, and it went right out the door. And it was my fault. That's what I realized, because they didn't know to call John Entingh in the event that someone in the house died. So what we did is we came up with this guide for beneficiaries, and we went out and saw all of our clients and placed this guide with them. Every single one of them just praised us, said thank you. We told them to share it with their kids. And so let me share with you a little bit of our successes. We collected all the data. You may think that your clients tell you everything. I'm going to tell you right now, they don't, even if you think you've got a great relationship. And I know that to be fact, because we wrote an additional $1.5 million of annuity premium. This is in a 6-month period. We wrote 200,000 of traditional single premium life and about 150,000 of NGL. So we know it works. But again, practice makes perfect, and I'll show you how we wrote all that business. We took this guide out for them, and this is exactly what it looks like. I have it in a nice binder with a clear plastic that goes over top of this. And it tells them right at the top, "For help settling my estate, please call my advisor at Entingh Financial Services." Now, I don't have all the pages of the booklet here, but in this booklet, there are where all the documents are, who should you call first, letters to the credit card company, the pension company, things that have to be done that a normal person would be overwhelmed with it. We've given them a guide on what to do. But in that guide, it says one of the first steps in there inside the guide as well is to call Entingh Financial Services, because we want to walk them through everything, right? We want to be the hero to help them get the estate settled and keep that money that we worked so hard to acquire initially in-house. That's the goal. So here's a letter that we put in there. Again, you can put this on your letterhead, but when the client reads this letter and sees how much you care and you have a team of people around you that can help, answer questions and help them save every possible tax and court cost and fee, it means a lot to the client. But here's the real meat of it. This is the financial organizer. So all we did is when we took this out to him, we said, "Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, we're going to update all of your financial information, and we want to know all about your children." And if the client completes this with you, it's kind of like where I showed you the NGL policy and the guide that NGL offers. If you had all this filled out, I don't care what state you live in, and you had this beneficiary guide, I could walk into your client's home and help them settle their estate without ever meeting them, because we're getting every bit of information that we're going to need to help them do that. So again, we're updating everything, financials, life insurance policies, but you can see here, question 8, have you prepaid your funeral? Yes or no? What if they tell me they have? Wow, do you have any other funds that you'd like to protect from a nursing home that you know you want to go to a particular beneficiary? If they tell me no, we've never prepaid our funeral, I'm not going to launch into a sales pitch, but I'm going to circle the wagons and come back and tell them that we have a problem we haven't addressed and that we're going to do that for them. Again, this is just the rest of the organizer. This comes along with the beneficiary guide. There's a page in the back for notes. I'm a big believer in practice what you preach. This is stuff that we do. We know it works. We see revenue generated from it. I'm happy to share that with you. Once you get licensed with National Guardian Life through IAMS, IAMS will make that available to you. Thank you so much for your time, Tony. If there's any questions I can answer for anybody to the best of my ability, I'd be happy to do that, but you can take it from here.
All right. Thank you, sir. Let me switch this back over and make me the presenter. Can you see my screen?
Yep, good to go.
All right. Okay, so yeah, looks like there are a couple of questions that I have.
Okay.
All right. Okay, it says here, since I'm new to this and I do make a presentation to a client, what type of support or who do I call to assist me with any questions that a client may have?
So this is what and that is probably one of the best questions we've gotten in a long time.
Yep.
When I first started doing this, I didn't have a John Entingh to go to or an IAMS to go to. I believe in going to the source. So you'll notice, you can't see it now, but back when I showed you the page on NGL where, their website page, at the bottom, there's a 1-800 number for the agent. I would suggest don't go to Tony, go directly to NGL, call them, they answer the phone immediately, tell them you're new, tell them your question, and you will get, even if you're in with a client, don't be shy to do that. That is where you want to get the information from, right from the horse's mouth, and they are great at what they do.
I'm going to piggyback off of that comment. Obviously, I'm here for support as well as Jess Riley, who is our other life sales director. But I would concur with what John said. National Guardian Life, excellent in customer service and providing assistance and answering questions. And they've been nothing but phenomenal in regards to the things that I've asked as far as response time. So you can definitely do that. All right, I think I got another question here, John. Hang on just a second. Okay. Ever run into problems when clients already have a trust and um, want to add, sorry, NGL trust separately?
Well, it depends. And here's why I say that, because there's different types of trust out there. So if it's just a regular revocable living trust, that doesn't give you any protection of all of your assets. That's just a see-through trust, basically. It's good for avoiding probate and passing out assets the way you would want them to go if you had somebody who couldn't handle money. If they had an irrevocable trust, yeah, you want to dig deeper, because that means they've worked with an attorney and they've paid him thousands of dollars to set up that irrevocable trust to already protect money from the nursing home. So I don't know that that would be viable for them.
Okay. And looks like there's one more. If start a trust in a high limit state, such as California, and then move to a lower limit state, such as Arizona, does that affect the trust?
You know what? That's a great question. Sorry, whoever asked the first one. I'm going to now say this is one of the better questions. Uh,
They just keep
you
one
know
upping
what?
you.
That's a question that I would have to get answered. My understanding is it's the state it's issued in, but we can find that out, Tony. If you get that person, we will reach out to NGL and get that answered. But I believe it'll just follow them.
Okay.
But we can certainly find that out. I've never had that question asked, but it's certainly a great question.
Yep, I will follow up with that agent on that. And then I think that's it. I have a few polling questions that I want to provide to the group. First and foremost, if you'd like more information on National Guardian Life, I do have a polling question I'm going to launch. If you could please respond to that, I'll make sure to get some additional information out to you. And looks like, John, we have quite a few that would like
Great.
additional information. We always like that. Okay, I'm going to close that out. Also, if you have any clients that you feel like this product would fit their need, please respond to this question. Make sure to reach out and we can discuss that. And if there's a case design we need to work up for you, we can take care of that as well. So I'll leave this up for a little bit longer. All right, I'll close that down. And lastly, and the most important one, getting appointed with NGL. If you'd like to get appointed with National Guardian Life, please respond to that polling question. That is up. We'll make sure to get that out to you. And I'll leave this up for a little bit, give you guys time to respond. Okay, it looks like we've got everybody responding to that. So I'll close that down. Okay, John, any final words or thoughts?
You know what? I would say this, just anytime something's new, it can be overwhelming. NGL is very simple, but learn it and be prepared to talk about it, because you'll be surprised how much business you can actually write. And be on the lookout for those old life insurance policies where you can 1035 exchange that cash value out of there.
Okay. Well, John, I want to thank you for bearing through your illness, your sickness, and participating in today's webinar. As I stated before, if you guys have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out to me. As you see, my email address is there. That's tony@iamsinc.com. Jess Riley is also one of our life sales directors, and his email address is jess@iamsinc.com. Or please feel free to give us a call at our 800 number, which is 800-255-5055. Again, I want to thank everybody for joining the webinar today. You guys have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.
Thanks, Tony.
Uh-huh.
Bye-bye.
Bye.